How's it going? Thank you for sharing your Wednesday with me. I appreciate this time. Yes, I appreciate you more than you will ever know. I'm glad that we are together. I'm so glad. I'm gonna put up the link so if any AfroEconomics members want to join me in the studio and talk about net worth and the advantages of net worth and why this is an important discussion, definitely hit that link, hit that link. I am JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of AfroEconomics. Say it with me. Come in the studio and say it with me. I dare you. We have to do more things that we're afraid of. We really do. No, we don't want to get to the end of our life and say, I wish that I would have this, I would have. One thing that Snoopy D knows about me. No, you look great, Snoopy D. Put your arm in the sling. Thank you. Come on in the studio and show us your arm healing, your shoulder healing. Now, one thing y'all know is if it's challenging, I'm going after it. If it's something new I get to learn, I'm going to learn it. If it's something new I need to do because it's going to help make us better, stronger, smarter, I'm going to do it. Claim it. Oh, I'm so thankful every time I learn something new. And I'm thankful to God for the humility to be open minded and not limited to just what I know. Because I have had my firm for 30 years now. 1995, I opened the firm. Celebrating our 30th anniversary. So that means that for more than 30 years, I have been learning something every day about financial services. I mean, literally, it is a blessing to do this for a living. I had no idea that I would have so much fun for so long. And I'm so thankful to God for his grace and his mercy. Good evening, right back at you, Ms. Anderson. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to be able to do something that I love. And that's why I created the entrepreneurship membership. The entrepreneurship membership is part of the Afroeconomics membership. Like you can do an individual membership, like Ms. Anderson has, and Ms. Delochap and Snoopy D. You can do family, and you can, for you and your spouse. Everybody always thinks about family and you and your children, but see, that's not possible because your goals are so different. But I gotta, but I'm always open. I always give family discounts. Y'all know it. So there's no excuse. And then there's the no excuse membership that is absolutely free. There's no excuse to not get the financial empowerment that you need. And the no excuse allows everyone with no excuse or full membership people have their individual meetings. A lot of times, if you have assets under management supersedes membership is absolutely free. Membership was designed so that we don't have to be transactional, that we can build worth, wealth, and net worth together. Mr. Loach, if you don't turn on your camera so that Mr. Barton doesn't have to be in here by himself, turn on it. And I love your hairstyle. I saw you yesterday. You getting ready for that trip. Mr. Barton just got back from a trip. Y'all are just the most exciting people. I live through you all. I get to save all that money. Y'all go to the islands, I go to the islands. You go to Egypt, I get to go to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I'm living off you. Yes, indeed. And very happy with it. You get to enjoy what you worked hard for. And don't you ever believe that I'm not doing this because I'm not having fun, because I don't do anything unless I'm having fun. I promise you, I love what I do. And then when you give me feedback, I love it even more. Favorite group. Favorite group these days. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. What you know about that, Mr. Barton? Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. You look like you would have been in Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. They would have been like, I hope that we. You would have been like, yeah, yeah. I know you were like, you thought I was gonna bring you in like this, so I'll bring you in like this. He was like, golly, she got me all up on there. You don't care because you Harold Melvin. Bold and gold. Yes, you are. Bold. Yes, indeed. Come on, Ms. Deloach. Ms. Deloach will be like, JB, take me down. Good afternoon, Mr. Murphy. I want to tell y'all what made me think about this, because Warren Buffett and like, oh man, what's up with the camera? Don't you hate that? It doesn't understand. You might have to try coming in with your phone. Maybe just use your cell phone. Fight for your life. Nothing good comes easy. So the let me let let me share, and I'm gonna share it again because sometimes it'll take it off. So then, Mr. Loach, you can just hit this. Yeah, maybe hit the link, and well, because you're using. Yeah, you could hit that. You could. She's like, that's the link I hit, Jay. That's not helping the camera. Hit the link again, and then when it says something about the camera, maybe make sure it might be the audio, it might be the videos off in the settings when you log in. But check it out. So back to Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is about to like stop the day to day, but he's going to stay chairman of the board of his company Berkshire Hathaway and all this like that. I think Berkshire Hathaway is like 50 years old, might be 60. Say it's 50 to 60 years old. So he got a new boss for the operations, but he's stay on with the board. So he said he was going to stay on with the board, and it was going to any and so when someone like him is such an influential, what he did was create Berkshire by buying ownership into other companies. Like, so kind of if you purchase Berkshire, if we get Berkshire Hathaway stock, we're buying Berkshire, but Berkshire is just buying ownership into companies that he likes. There you go, Vicky D. That's what I'm talking about. That's fight power. That's fight. Fight. Nothing good comes easy, Miss Mac. And we would ask, so I'm sure if I asked Warren Buffett that, like, does he feel like, everything was easy? Was it easy? And he would say, like, no, it's been a fight. It's been a fight. So one of the wealthiest men in the world, that we're trying to, well, what I found one offensive the other day, and then this is to all the young people out there. If you are younger than the person, don't call them by their first name. Now, I know that might be country and this and that, but I just don't get it. Like, say if you are more than 20 years younger than that person. Now, I prefer to call all my clients by their last name, just because when I started in business, that's what we did. Even if they were younger than you, that's your client. We will go, Miss Smith, Mr. Jones, this and that. There's a time now where my clients are starting to get younger than me. And I'm still going to refer to out of respect. So there was an interview the other day, and you're talking to this billionaire that people pay $100,000 to have lunch with Warren Buffett. Literally, seriously. This is what they do.
Not working.
People probably paying $200,000 to have lunch with Elon Musk. They just want their mind. If you knew, like I know, y'all would be paying me that kind of money to have lunch with me. Mr. Loach, how much should I charge people to have lunch with me?
Come on.
Look, she's just like she's still trying. You are fine. You are perfect.
Studio.
Poor thing. She don't even know she's in. Mr. Loach, you are in. I don't know how to tell her though.
Exit video.
Sis, you online. You are good. I don't know how to tell her. I don't know how to tell her. You're in. I see you. It's perfect.
That's what it is.
You couldn't see what I saw. Catherine want to be in on that.
I gotta put my lipstick on. I didn't know if this was a public.
I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to put lipstick on. 5 seconds. You better do it fast. I should turn it on. I can see her putting lipstick on. Ms. Deloach, just the other phone. But you good. You good. It's all right. It's good to get that kind of workout in. If you're not working our body, we gotta work our brain. All right, here we come, Catherine. Exactly. And look, and it gave her the big square. So you know you are on high pressure. Which is sexy lingerie on.
I had no idea I was being public.
You know? No, you come in, you mess with JB Bryan, you never know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna happen. So then, but I'm gonna tell y'all. So Warren Buffett approaching 90. I don't think he might not be 90 yet. But my thing has always been I'll retire at whatever age Warren Buffett retires at. So we need to remember he did not completely retire. He's still going to be chairman of the board. So I am going to work past 90. So I don't want nobody at whatever age y'all might think, y'all go, JB, at what point are you going to retire? Okay. Remember this day that I said it's going to be after 90. And I pray that, you know, what a beautiful blessing to have a health span that's that good. Health span. What did somebody say today? He was like, people are dying longer. They're just dying. You know, we want to go for health span. That's why the 10th component of AfroEconomics is health and wealth. We're gonna stay on that. No, I did a food sensitivity test the other day, and I believe that a lot of diseases that people are dying from are related to their response in their gut to the food. You believe that, Catherine?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There is, because sugar is directly related to helping cancer cells grow.
Amen.
So there's a connection there. I even think that in your gut, you could get a fungus. That fungus will impact your estrogen. Your estrogen will impact that fungus, make that fungus grow, lead to cancer, and lead to estrogen-based cancer, which is typically shows up as breast cancer. I said it first here in AfroEconomics. And I pretty much can say whatever I say because I'm not a doctor.
But you've been hanging out with doctors.
I don't even hang out with doctors. They don't want to hear it. Because what I'm saying is what the Bible says is that everything that we need with this is within us. That being well is God's will. Like, you know what I'm saying? So what they need to be focused on is our gut. We need to have a gut doctor. We need to have a doctor who tells us, stop eating all that sugar so that your brain will last longer. Stop stressing out so that your brain will last longer. Because literally, we're going to, people are being here physically, but their mind is gone. Their mind is gone. They don't know anybody. And a lot of it is diabetes type 3, is the Alzheimer's. But they're not talking about that. Diabetes type 3, we have to protect our brains. We have to give up the sugar. We have to give up the heavy carbohydrates. We have to give up the processed food so that our net worth is protected. So Warren Buffett said, and the kid, so why I was saying that people should be more respectful is because this kid was in the audience, Robert Walker. I don't know which part is the BS though, but BS. Robert Walker said that's BS because Robert Walker can do whatever you want. That's right, Robert. And we'll be here to take care of you. You look, we'll be here. We got you, Robert Walker. Just know that Robert Walker is not a member of AfroEconomics. AfroEconomics is committed to mentally and physically healthy people. Yes, indeed. We want to be there. Our mind is it's a powerful thing to waste. Mr. Walker, take that off. So the young person in the audience with Warren Buffett, he says, Warren, and he was asking Warren like what he thought was now H. So I guess Robert's just having some technical problems. Because he's the and I'm not even gonna be mad at you because it could be something else. So the Warren, so the young person that referred to Warren Buffett as Warren, which I think that he should have said Mr. Buffett. What do you think is most important when analyzing a business? And Mr. Buffett said that he feels that in analyzing a business, I'm gonna tell you, I want to kind of close quote it. Warren Buffett has stated that he spends more time looking at balance sheets than income statements when evaluating a company for potential investment. And then that made me think, how do I transfer this knowledge to you taking care of your own personal finance? Well, a balance sheet is your net worth statement. So like in this is the workbook. And I think I'm gonna send everybody the workbook in our meeting on Friday. But in the workbook, you have where you put in your assets and then you put in your liabilities. That is the balance sheet. And you see the workbook is like huge. So the all we think about a lot is the income statement, our budget. But what Warren is encouraging, and I am encouraging, is that you look more at your assets, the balance sheet, what we would call our net worth sheet. Because the balance sheet, which would be the net worth sheet for businesses, the balance sheet allows us to focus on long-term financial strength of the company. So we look at the balance sheet, which is assets minus, equity and liabilities. So the retained earnings of the company will also be shown in the balance sheet. So but what we typically talk about is exactly what you were saying. Usually we just think of the balance sheet as assets minus liabilities because that's the way to look at for a person. Our net worth is assets minus liabilities. We don't have retained earnings. Oh, that was a mistake. What? So Robert, you were just butt down us, and I'm like being mean to you. I apologize. I take back everything, but we will still take care of you if you ever need us to take care of you. He said that was a mistake. That's so cute. Can y'all see their comments? I understand, but I'll not look. I'm not even going to joke. You know what I started to say? And when he said that's a mistake, remember Shannon Sharp said it was a mistake, and you be careful out there, Mr. Walker, on that social media. Every mistake can and will be held against you. Casey, you gotta come in the studio, live our best life, exactly, well past our 90s, in good health, body, mind, and spirit. Well said, Casey. Amen. Catherine Williams says she's logged in from Cleveland, Ohio. Cat Williams. Uh-oh. That's a true statement. I never thought about you being another Cat Williams. He said she said he stole her name. Oh, because you're older. You're right, but your mama never planned on you going by cat. You never know though. There was a lot of girls that went by cat before he did. Correct? Yeah. That's a good point. Wow. I know the original Cat Williams. So so Warren said, I'm looking at the balance sheet of these businesses. He's looking at the net worth of these businesses because it's easier to really see the health of the company because you're focusing on the assets. So the balance sheet also, he argues, is more difficult to manipulate. So when the balance sheet is saying this is the asset, and these are the assets that are easy to liquidate, these are the assets that are hard to liquidate, and they'll break it down into the categories, the assets that they can get to, easier, like cash. So it'll be stacked from liquidity down to the less liquid will be like land and real estate of that company. And then it will go into short-term liabilities and then the longer-term liabilities or the bigger debts, like your credit cards would be considered a short-term liability. Look at you. You can tell I was looking at you. That's funny. It's like, it's funny. Nobody's ever looked back at me like this. Look, I do make some faces though. That would be funny though if I were famous. Like, what would be the parody of JB Bryan? Like, how they would play me on Saturday Night Live? Like, the hair. Who would play me would be funny, but it'd be like the hair or something. That's funny. What do you think, Mr. Loach? What would my parody be? My laugh, probably. It would be like my laugh, and it's not funny, and it's only funny to me, and I'm laughing, and nobody else is laughing, or something like that. Betty Boo. Oh Lord, you think so? I don't feel like that. Thank you though. That's so good. You think that? You think I got a sex appeal? Oh no. Thank you though. You definitely Betty Boo than me. Look, Mr. Barden was like, I'm out. They talking about sex appeal. So that's cute. Thank you. No, you're cute and pretty. They would not. They would have to joke on me. But anyway, so back to so the net worth of the business of that Warren is trying to get us to look at the assets of the business, what he sees as more real, what they really have, what they can really get rid of if they had to, and most importantly, the retained earnings of the business. So what are they actually keeping? Or what profits are they able to hold on to? Because a lot of businesses don't have any retained earnings. They're losing money every year. Right? So that it wouldn't be, that's not, so we're not really thinking about it as a person. When you have negative retained earnings, basically you have a negative budget. And then you're also on your balance sheet, your assets minus your liabilities, you'll have a negative net worth. And there's people that actually, if they don't own anything, there's people who just have a car with a loan on the car. They have a house with a loan on the house. They got credit cards, and they owe as much as the house is worth. So when you first go into debt, say even with a mortgage, it actually can reduce your credit score. And people don't really think about that. And that's because you're seeing now as a bigger risk. Like, Warren said, I got to look. So when you go to the bank, you think we think, and if we really think about it as a Black people, you know how much more money we make? We have all these degrees and they say how many salaries that we have. but the net worth gap is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. You know why? You know why?
Speak up.
Because the asset part. See, we're only thinking about income, and every time we get more income, we get a bigger house, we get more car, we get more debt, we get more credit cards, we spend more money, we go on more trips, we buy more stuff. We can't afford every time you go on a trip, you know. And I know a lot of these young people that now I see going to Dubai and everything, you know, they haven't had enough time to accumulate wealth. And they're over there with 3 kids at home. They got to get educated. So what job could you have that would allow you to have that, you know what I mean, extra money? What? So what do? You go into spending your extra, and you don't save for in educating those 3 kids, because you're spending it on, I got to get away. I got to take this trip. So that balance sheet, your net worth is going down because you've increased your debt and there's no asset for there. You go on a trip, you've increased your liabilities, but there's no asset that you purchase. You can't put that has no value, those pictures you took. Unless you say you're a social media person, you get to write it all off, then it becomes a business expense. But your business still needs to pay off that debt. You can't even, like Ms. Peterson said, she chooses not to have a credit card. Why is that not feasible today? We don't hide from credit cards. We don't hide from it. We get stronger if we pay them off. Credit card is not the enemy. What we do with the credit card makes it the enemy. It's like people that get married and they go through a divorce and they go, marriage is horrible. Marriage is not horrible. That marriage was horrible. This and that, so we don't have to choose to not have a credit card, but you definitely can choose to focus on using your debit card so that you're only spending money that you have. You can have a credit card, and I definitely try hard to not have credit card balances, but I don't believe I can live in a world without having a credit card. So I don't anticipate that. I don't ask you to do that. It's because we're stronger than that. Avoiding, you know what I'm saying? Avoidance isn't really strength, Not choosing not to do it is strength.
Amen.
So I was telling my daughter, you know what I'm saying? When you're a good looking woman, you're going to get a lot coming at you. The choices that we make determine our character. You know what I'm saying? You don't hide out, make yourself ugly. Don't comb your hair. Don't take a bath. You know what I'm saying? You don't hide from it. You decide, I'm not going to be broke, and you don't do it. Don't do it. Still get what you need. I know that's right. Amen. But we live in a time where we have the debit card and the credit card in the one card. So, but there are actual vendors like renting a car. They will punish you for using a debit card. You go to a hotel, they punish me when I use my debit card. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain situations where I'm not going to tell you that I don't want you. I just want you to avoid having a balance on it, because it can't. There are people like Ms. Deloach who will add up them damn points and get free gifts. You know what I mean? Her and Catherine, they strategically use those credit cards and get $500-600 a year, will put everything they buy. Now, I'm not saying that they do, but I'm telling you, people that do this, members that do this, put everything they buy on that card, pay that card off, and get them points. That takes discipline, but discipline is the key. Discipline is the key. We are people of discipline, not fear. Discipline. And I can show you how to do that. Yes, you definitely, please. And yes, indeed. This is on the AfroEconomics with JB Bryan YouTube channel. And I appreciate you all watching. Please click like. Like when I watch people's podcasts and they say, please click like, I'm like, JB, how hard is it for you to ask people to please click like? Why don't you ever do that? Please share. I don't do that. I'm such an investment advisor that it's hard for me to put on the hat. Like, y'all got to help me out. I used to use my debit card to pay off a rental car balance. How did they have a balance? Tell me more about that. But I know you're saying something I'm not exactly understanding. When I recently paid a debit card to pay off. And some people, I have clients who will not use their debit card on public purchases because they feel like they don't have the same protection as the credit card, which is true. Like there is a difference in those protections between the debit and the credit. And it's important for you to know. Yeah, you can rent a car online, but you get the rental agency. They charge you even more, and you need a credit card. I know. You just need it. You really do. And ever since COVID, renting a car has become very expensive, especially in Virginia. It's like, they said that they did it because they had a lot of theft of their vehicles. Can you imagine that? Being in a business, you put people in a car and they just never come back? They just put down 1,000 for the week and then they gone for a month. Literally, that could put somebody out of business. So they started having to have, these bigger deposits. Yes, indeed. We need our mics, please. Exactly. He's talking about you, Catherine. Let me see. I'll get her. And I'm gonna see how to do that. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm gonna figure it out though. Catherine, you're gonna have to help me. Kat, you're gonna have to help me with muting you.
Okay, please mute me. Let me see if I can.
But I can't. I'm gonna do this. I can turn the volume down, so I got you. But when you talk, I can't. I know. See, now you're talking.
Okay.
You got a freaking operating room over there going. What you doing?
I'm making myself a cup of chamomile tea while I drink chia seed water.
See what retired people do, y'all.
Okay,
I'm turning it down. Exactly why you do that. But if you say like this, do like this, and I'll turn your mic back up. Indeed.
Wait a minute.
I saw Mr. Barden went outside taking a walk. Y'all make sure you take a walk. I saw some stats last week. It said that only 7% of our lives is spent outside. That's just scary. So we definitely need to spend more time outside. So I want to talk about, before you go outside or take me with you, I want to talk about net worth for us. So our net worth is a snapshot of our financial position at that particular time. And it is our assets minus our liabilities. So it allows you, like if you were going in for a bank loan and then they ask you like the value of your house, the value of your car, the value, of your other furniture. They might ask you about your furniture. They might ask you, you know what I'm saying? That's the bank putting together a balance sheet, a net worth statement for you. So one of the first things we do in the membership is the financial planning software puts together a net worth snapshot for you. Especially if it's a person and you're getting into it because you're trying to get your financial house in order. There's some people who they got it in order, and I meet them and they have a lot of money and we're going forward from there, and their only problem, there's not even a problem. Their challenge is making sure we're investing correctly. And then so that but the other person is the one that needs to know, how do I increase my assets? How do I take more of my money and buy assets with it? And when I was saying like, why is the wealth gap for Black versus Asian and white getting bigger, with the Black net worth going down and the white and Asian net worth is growing more than white net worth? The difference is they're more likely to have a business. And the business on your net worth sheet, if you own your own business, it's going to make a huge difference, because you have an asset that you just focusing on your income don't have. If you're just focusing on, your income and you're working somewhere, then your asset, your business has to become your 401k or your IRA. That's why when I say you should be putting away 20% of your income, because that's how you build your enterprise for yourself. That's how you're building a business, an asset, a pool of money that can create income for you for the rest of your life. So when you have a lot in that work retirement plan, when you have this asset, then that is at the top of your asset sheet, your net worth, your assets minus what you, so on your 401k, unless you take a loan out on it, there's no debt connected to that asset. That's why I discourage you from taking out those loans on the 401k. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn you back up. And you hit mute. Is that what you said? Oh, you hit mute. Yeah. Now you turned up, but you're muted. You're muted. Yeah. You can unmute. You can unmute. Oh, great. You figured it out. Oh, great. Thank you. You're so good. She's such a good Samaritan. It's cross country or another country. I'm driving. Oh, unless it's cross country or another. Yeah, you like to drive. You don't try to do all that rental car stuff. Yeah. I was thinking about that because I have to go to Florida this month, and I literally am thinking about driving down there, because after all the time I spend in the airport, getting there, going there, parking there, coming there, I'm like, I would be Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And then I get to Georgia, I got to connect to another flight and sit there for a couple more hours. And then, so I was like, wow, I spend $1,000, for that, unless I'm in a rush, and I'm not in a rush. So yeah, I think I'm a drive too. You always drove from Miami to Virginia? You good. You a tough little girl. Look, exact. The only state between Virginia and Florida that I worry about is South Carolina. Because one time I was in South Carolina, and this lady in, I don't know, it was like McDonald's or one of them fast foods, and she called the police because I asked for orange soda, and I brought it back up there to her. She called the police on me. And the police said, "You on your way, keep going." I mean, it was like something out of the 1920s. And I know why she called, because she wanted all the Black men that I was with. I was with like at least 5 young Black men. And we're in 2 different cars, and they were both Mercedes. So we're up. And I was just joking with her. And I was like, it says up there that the orange soda is Fanta. And Fanta is different than the flat orange soda. So she had orange drink, but it said Fanta up there. So she was so irritated that I was pointing out the difference between, I was like, wow, that's false. Okay. It's false advertising. I'll call literally, that would have gone viral. So I told all the guys, I said, go in the car. I'm gonna wait for the police. And then, because if we had got in the car, they would have pulled us all over, you know what I mean, and made a mess of it. So I had to sit there, wait. The police got there. I explained to him what happened, and he said, y'all just get out of town. So ever since then, I'm just like, I ain't messing with South Carolina. That's crazy. And I thank God that I was that one, because yeah, I could have escalated, because one of the guys got really irritated that she did that, and I said, "Don't worry about it, I got it. Don't worry about it, I got it." And you know, we really, if we're in a position, we have to protect our men as much as we can, because he was going to protect me, but I knew that it would be to his demise, because that girl was loco. We have to check if we're in sundown time. Yeah, I was. Wow, a map. That's sad, Aruka girl. Like, but it's so true. And I couldn't believe it was happening. I used to go into a bar with Confederate flags with my whole family, like it was nothing. Use the bathroom. Exactly. Good for you. I mean, I think that we should be able to. If I, like, being from the South, if I saw a place with a Confederate flag, I'm still going in. I mean, like, it is what it is. That was the flag. That was the flag for South Carolina for a long time. So it's like, I would have been caught off. I would have been caught off. And I don't know that type of behavior. It doesn't, like, come in my mind. I don't, and I really don't want to ever feel that way, where with the way I feel, which I said about South Carolina. Look, you gonna see me driving, boy. We drive. I might have to use the bathroom. I ain't stopping. Zoom. Yes, protect me. Good vibes. Amen. Amen. We have to, But I was like, over orange soda. She called the police. So yeah. So let me tell you about this. So the net worth is a financial snapshot of our liabilities and our assets. So your assets, picture them on top, listing everything that you own. And it gives us a holistic view of your financial health. Your net worth is a holistic view of your financial health. If you're married, you can look at it together, you can look at it separate, but that net worth is a comprehensive measure of wealth, where income is not. The income, like your budget statement, which we consider the income statement, for a person, you would think of it as your budget. It only reflects what you're making. So if we're making money, so if we're making the money, thank you, y'all so good to me. So if we're making the money, but yet we're not buying assets with the money, like I was saying, like building your own enterprise, putting your money away for you, like buying assets, getting properties, investment properties. Your residential property, is an asset, but it's not creating income for you. So ultimately, we're looking at how many assets do you have that could create income for you. So we tend to put all our money into the residential property and not think about, maybe if we put more money, and I don't know how many people will do this, but if we put more money into the an investment property than you put into your residential property, imagine. So you'd be putting more money into an asset. It's like, I put more money into my business than I put into my residence. You can use whatever you want to, Aruka girl, for your value. You can even use, the asset, because none of it is really real until you actually have to sell it. But the assessment from the city, you can use, and the Zillow, you could use either one. Unless you're in New York, that lady got mad at Trump for using to overvaluing his property. He lost that lawsuit too, Cat. So that really made people start looking at commercial property differently, and we'll see how that appeal goes. But think about how many people like go to the bank, fill out a loan, fill out an application for something. You put down the value of your house and you don't check anything. You just put down whatever you think is worth. And then you get sued for it. Wow. You're in New York. For real. Be careful. Yeah. But it literally would not happen to you because you couldn't take out a loan based on that, because if you did it, you know what they would do. They would go do an appraisal. They wouldn't even use Zillow. They would get an actual appraisal done and make you pay for it. And the appraisal would be based on the sales in the neighborhood at the approximate same square footage, same value, things like that. Like it wouldn't even go that far. And that's why the banks that were involved in that commercial transaction with the Trump enterprise said, we weren't harmed by this, because the bank's job is to make sure, like when my first job out of college was credit analyst, they called it. And my job was to look at businesses' balance sheets and analyze the health of that business because they wanted to borrow money from that bank. See, we're tearing it apart. You put down that you own something, we don't take your word for it. You're checking. And they do the same for you. Even if you wanted to refi, you want to take out equity, they're going to find out. So I would, like, on your net worth, and you're writing down your assets, and you put down that your car is worth $50,000, but your car is 20 years old. I guess it's possible, but it's probably not probable since, you got a Honda, 20-year-old Honda. It's probably not worth 50,000, but depends. You would have to prove why yours is worth 50,000. But all of those things are on that balance sheet, where just focusing on income, not balance sheet for you, it would be your net worth statement. But only focusing on income doesn't tell you as much about your financial health as your assets and your liabilities. You even will know, like, you find out, you look up and you find that your house, you find, Kat, that your house is only worth $500,000, but the loan that you have on it, because the real estate values may have changed, and the loan that you have on it is $600,000. So that is pulling down your net worth by $100,000, approximately, based on the current value and what you still owe. So it would be considered upside down. People get upside down with their cars. You buy a car, $100,000 car, take it off the lot, somebody hits it, boom. The value of the car is not $100,000, literally just because you drove off the lot. Now it's used. So then it went to 90. Now you had an accident with it. Now it's only worth 80. And you owe on it what? 105, because you added a warranty. Look, you added the whole package. Exactly. Had to have it. So and you can't, so you're upside down in the car. I remember one time I met this young man, and he had bought a car and the car wouldn't work anymore. And it was sitting in the back. He was sitting in the back of his house, like thinking he was hiding it. And I was like, why are you hiding it? And I was like, why don't you just let him repo it? I mean, I don't understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, but then I won't be able to get another one. I said, but you can't afford to get this one fixed. It's in the back. He couldn't afford to get it fixed. I said, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run, bro. This is when you run. You messed up. See, I got a luxury car. The luxury car falls apart. And and it's, so we can't, it doesn't even matter that the car is 10 years old. It still costs, it was like It was like 6 grand or something. It was a lot to get whatever it was that went wrong fixed. Basically, he bought a lemon. It's sad. But sitting in the back of the house, it's just sitting there, just festering and ruining your credit over time, just going on and on. At least you can just stop the bleeding. Give it to him. Don't hide. Next thing you know, the problem is behind you. So then more on why net worth and why understanding our net worth is important. So, it's the liabilities subtracted from your assets. So your assets are to be greater and a bigger number than your liabilities. Net worth is the also like what you have in gain is taxed differently than income. Income is taxed at a higher tax rate than a gain that you would have. Like if you have the value of your house and you sell the value of your house and say you've made 500,000 on it and you're married filing jointly, you don't have to pay any taxes on that gain at all. But every dime that you make, that's taxable. Yeah, save up. Exactly. I don't either. Ruka says she will not finance cars anymore, but I can appreciate that there was a time that I couldn't do it, didn't start where I can go in, I feel really good now because I can go in and write a check and buy the car I want. That's a blessing. But that took a lot of discipline, focus, determination, humility to be able to do that. And we haven't been socialized enough to know that, to that brother, like, hey, your girl got a car, you got a car, y'all can ride together. My mom and dad went a long time without both of them having a car. My dad was like, we work at the same place, let's make it happen. My mother didn't want to wait for him because he was working longer. She didn't want to wait anymore. So then she went out and bought a car. But I don't think I was going into high school. So that was a long time. And I'm their youngest of 4 kids. That was a long time with one car in the family. Both of them, they met in college. That they, had to sacrifice that. 4 kids. That right there. And they're working in education. Whew. But they could have had 2 cars though, Kat. My dad decided to buy a Coupe de Ville Cadillac, brand new, right off the lot. Like, you know what I'm saying? For the cost of that Coupe de Ville, they could have got 2 average cars. Now that I think about it, and that was when I was in elementary school. They were chilling in that Cadillac. So look. So it was probably my mother was like, I'm not. So she didn't stop. So we like my dad wasn't buying luxury cars anymore when they got older, but they was like that. That was a gift to himself. He was like, I finished my PhD. I'm getting my Cadillac. Yes. That was the Dr. Bryan's elite car. Indeed. Catherine said Cadillac is the black man's elite car. Yes, it was. Cadillac. They got some pretty ones out now. Actually. But yeah, we just weren't, even though, like sometimes people think like that your education will actually teach you to make better financial decisions, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. They really, both of my parents always had a car payment. It wasn't even a goal that you could go and just buy a car. Like, they just never thought about that. I was never taught. We very rarely did we talk about financial things, like, and and I had to learn to just accept that, It's like, and it was like a friend of my father's when I was in college, and he was a professor at the school my dad was, and then you have a Cadillac now, I love it. And my friend of my father's who introduced me to investments and stocks. and he started Dr. Battle, Huey Battle. And he just, started talking to me about that when I was at undergrad at University of Virginia. I guess because I told him that I was applying for the business school. And then he started talking about that. But he was really into what we're talking about, like net worth and the balance sheets and income statements. And I just want you to know that when someone says a balance sheet for a business, that is the same thing for on a personal level as a net worth statement. The assets minus liabilities of you, that's your net worth. The balance sheet for the business is the assets minus the liabilities, and then the returned earnings, the money that they've made. Because what? That's what you could pay off all your liabilities with if you wanted to. So in a balance sheet with the business, the liabilities, and then you'll have a section for retained earnings is down there with the liabilities, and it equals to assets. Boy, I used to love that in school because I had my double major. I did accounting and finance, and I fell in love with accounting. It's crazy with but that's why I feel so good about and confident about encouraging you to learn taxes and to have an understanding about just these fundamental things. And the assets are our assets in our net worth is what we will use to create income from. So if my business is in there, a major asset, for me, the business is how it will generate income. If your retirement plan at work is a major asset for you, that's what you'll use to generate income. But for a lot of our community, our residential property is our major asset. And so as we grow older, it doesn't create the income. And you've put all this money into this asset that unfortunately it hasn't appreciated the way it should in many cases. They have research and stats to show that in the Black communities, with our emphasis on our residential real estate, that residential real estate in Black communities has not grown at the speed of other communities. So that has slowed down our net worth. Where other communities put less money, also a white person is more likely to put less money into their house than we do as a proportion of our income. So their house, they might make 4 times as much as us, but live next door to us because they're not committing as much of their income to that particular residential real estate debt. But they're making so much more, their mortgage is small, they're able to save more, invest more, build a business, do more things because they have more to do, and they're doing the right thing with it. And so what we're doing in AfroEconomics is changing and enhancing and doing that same thing, realizing what we're doing when we do buy something. What is the likelihood of this particular asset growing for me? Will it give me the growth that I want? Historically, the stock market has outpaced the growth of residential real estate. Yeah. I wish it would allow me to put your comments up. Miss Williams, Cat Williams, our own right here, said, yeah, Black community was redline, pay more for our houses, more for their loans historically. That's the biggest challenge, paying more for the loan. Paying more for the loan for something that did not grow. Sometimes, this is Cat Williams' statement, sometimes you need a white person to go shopping for the house and loan. Unfortunately, it's awful. But we can become more aware. Send a white friend in and see what they get before you spend is out I'll do here that you'll try to do, basically. That you said, yeah, that you would try. That would be really sad that if your white friend went in and got a better price than you did. Mm, mm, mm. But remember on that thing where they were talking about like bad appraisals in the black neighborhood. I was trying to explain one time on a show that the bad appraisals is not a big concern for us, because if we get a bad appraisal as far as on a purchase, the lender is going to, look out for you on that, because the lender is the one that needs the appraisal the most, is to protect them. But if you're selling the house, you're black, they give you an appraisal, it has to be based on the houses in your neighborhood. So that's why Afroeconomics is so important, because if you live in a neighborhood and it's mostly black and we start foreclosing because of things that are happening to us, and and then it pulls down everybody in that neighborhood. It pulls them down, because then the appraiser is going around and they're saying, well, these are the three houses that just sold in this neighborhood, and you get a bad appraisal. But if you get a bad appraisal, it will tell you, like, if you're trying to sell it and you get a bad appraisal, you can choose to not sell your house at that price. You wait 3 months, and then you get a house that's sold and it's not being foreclosed. There's not the foreclosures. See, what it comes down to is you have to really understand how it works and don't feel like they have all the control, because they don't. You can always say no. Like, no, that's a bad appraisal. I'm not selling my house for that low price. But if you're, but the buyer would love to have the low price. But if you're desperate and you have to get out of the house because you can't afford it, you can't make the payment, this and that, that's why we have to have emergency funds. That's why those assets on their balance sheet matter. Do you not have a savings? Do you not have, a way that that are you at foreclosure as well? And now you feel like they gave you a bad appraisal, and every, like, I feel like we have a lot more control than we think we do, but we have to use our resources, because when things like that happen, how many people actually reach out to someone like me who understands it from it's not in the situation. If you're only talking to the appraiser and the agent, then there's too many people that got their hand is in the game. They're in it. There's a conflict of interest there with all of them. You have to have someone who's working in your best interest, and that's where a registered investment advisor comes in. It doesn't matter what the deal is. Most high net worth people have a registered investment advisor on their team, because they know I'm legally responsible, legally required to tell you what's in your best interest. Yeah. And like, I have seen so many times, Ms. Williams, like, lawyers have to live under that same criteria, but I keep seeing repeatedly lawyers not doing that. No, so if you're in that and there's a lawyer involved in that deal, what do they really, you know what I mean? No, unless you just really focused on having a real estate lawyer, you know what I mean, and on the deal. And it will have to be because either way, what's weird about the lawyer is that even if it doesn't work in your interest, they still get paid. I've seen lawyers talk clients into doing stuff that wasn't in the client's best interest. And then what did they do? I don't know what the bar association is for. How are you still, how is it still, you talk the client into suing somebody, and then when they don't win, like, you still get paid, and then they still have to pay for the lawyer or for the other people on the other side. That's just wrong. Where's the lawyer got to do? No. So, we have to be very careful. We have to be, very, 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 very careful. I don't know how we make it, but we do. Exactly. Exactly. You're still muted. But yes, indeed. We can read it. We can read it. He said they're liars. Yes. Yes. What did this lawyer told me one time that once you get lawyers involved. Now, this was a lawyer who told me this. He said, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Once you get us involved, nobody wins. And you see it. Do y'all see what's going on now with Smokey Robinson? Did you see that? Did you see that? Pray for him. 85 years old. Now he has like all these women suing him. People that worked in his house for like 10 years and everything. It's if you can find a lawyer to take the case, you can do it. And he said the reason that they stayed there and never said anything is because they wanted to get paid. Oh man, Michael. Yeah. Yes. And they don't want to take the contingency deals. They don't want to take the contingency. Mr. Spencer was like, continue. Exactly. It really should be. And so they do most of the time on personal injury, but on, your just business dealings, they're going to win. They're going to win. Well, y'all want make sure that we continue. So remember, you want to focus on your net worth, learning your net worth. If you're interested in, really getting intense on this with your stuff, I have a software package that comes with the membership that will make this extremely easy to look at everything. It's perfect for a person that just wants to start over or just get their financial house in order, or you're just getting married, you're getting remarried, or but the financial planning and the membership is just great. And I use some really good software, and it's included. Still just $30 a month, and the software itself, is definitely well worth that. Way more than that. And then so definitely thank you. Ms. Williams asked me about the membership benefits. So the individual membership is just $30 a month, and then you get a discount, a 2-month discount, if you just do the annual membership, and that includes us having our one-on-one meetings. It's for one-on-one meetings at least once a quarter, but typically we're meeting at least once a month. So we keep it right. And then the family membership as well. The family membership is only $60, and they also get a discount for the annual. It's sad that we don't have more family memberships, because we really should. A lot of times that we don't see the investment, but we also have to know that you're two people. If one person gets it right and they get on board, and they do the individual membership, that doesn't get the other person right. It just doesn't. You really need them. Yeah, I guess not. Look, KC, remember, y'all know a couple weeks ago I did the one on the non-disclosure agreement on a Wednesday. We're talking about the NDAs. And KC was like, I guess Smokey didn't do an NDA. I know. So true. With people coming in his house too. But he was paying them under the table, it seems. I don't think, like, probably when they first started working there, they might not even spoke English, and him and his wife really just let that slip by because she's in. They're suing. I think it's suing his wife too. Oh, thank you. Mr. Barber says the financial planning software is a phenomenal tool. Good word, phenomenal. Yes, but yeah, getting the family on board. I put on, when you go to the AfroEconomics.com website, click into membership, it will say like that family that plans together stays together. I believe that. Like the but it's also, if you're single like myself, we have to have our finances straight as well. And and so nobody really gets the luxury of just taking for granted that things will just work out, as we see now. Like, well, one of my clients that works for the federal government, and I was like, girl, my entire career, people been losing their jobs, they get another one, then like things like this have been happening. And then she said, like, yeah, but I work for the federal government, like, we don't, those things don't happen to us. And I was like, that is, what I'm saying, it's so true. That But what we have to do is kind of live with the least expected. And that's one thing about entrepreneurship. I'm constantly on my toes. I don't know what's going to happen from day to hour to hour, minute to minute, day to day. And we literally all should feel like that. All should feel like that. Yes, it's my business, but my clients are the boss of me. Like, so like you don't feel like that. So we were not trained to, Ms. Peterson said, we were not trained to work with financial issues when we were younger. Some weren't, some were not, Yeah, some of us were not. Like I I was always like, because my parents said no with purpose. So I had to learn how to make money quick. They're like, no, no, and no. I was like, do y'all know any other word other than no? So if I was going to get anything, and I asked them for too. I was the youngest, and they were tired of saying yes. It was like, no, tell her no, no, and no some more. It wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gone to work at 15, 16. The day I turned 16, I started working. I was working before that, but it was off the book, up at the people's house up the street. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn. I had to learn pretty quickly. But you're right. Like a lot of us, like myself, we work hard for our kids to not know what we know. And that's, it's good that we can, but you're right. I have to but I try to make a point to address her different financial issues, different compromises, that that the things that are involved. But we can't, in our attempt to protect, we're not empowering. They always say the only way to get strong is to lift the weight. We gotta let them lift the weight. We gotta let them worry about some things. No, we can't. Like, no, we can't buy them everything that we can get. Yes, okay, yeah, you could get them so and so, but that don't mean they need it. It's not that it's best for them. I remember somebody, like, my motorcycle is a Hayabusa, and before I got one, I know there was this story about this family that got one for their son. So he got on the bike, got on Christmas morning, poof, pulled the throttle, killed himself. Just because we can doesn't mean that we should. And I just remember the first time I pulled the throttle on that, and I had already been riding like 10 years or so. It's a lot. And he pulled that, and the whole bike just went out of control. Like, so sometimes we're like giving things to our young people, you know what I'm saying? And they can't handle it yet. Might not be a bike, might be a car. It might be, a house by themselves, maybe paying rent for them to act like they independent, but they're not. They should be right there with you so you can be saving that money. Be anything, but it's true. So, things that we don't know, now we know, and that's our responsibility to give it to them. And that I truly live by that. I want everybody to know whenever God brings it to me, I want them to know what I know because I can't take it with me. So every bit of knowledge that I have, I want to give it. I want to pour it. I don't want it to stop. One lady told me one time, she's like, you tell too much. You just give too much information out. You should make them come to you to get it. But I know that everybody won't come to me to get it. And there's a difference between what I'm sharing and the benefit of actually me working on what you have. You can show me 1,000 times how to braid my hair. Cat, I still can't braid my hair. So I still go and get somebody else to do it. And that's the way most people in the world is. So I'm showing you and I'm telling you, but it ain't like when I do it for you. I do what I do. Exactly. You know how to do it. But you know how to do what you do. And I know how to do what I do. And I can't cook like you cook. I'm like, Lord, you put a lot of time into your food. But you do it. But that's where you put your time. What the Bible says, your heart is where your treasures lie. My heart is in financial empowerment. And I'll give you my best and give you my all. Blessings to you, sister. Thank you, Miss Cat Williams. That's crazy. That's Cat Williams right there, y'all. Thank you, Vivian. Thank you very much, Miss Peterson. I truly appreciate your feedback. Seriously. Mr. Barber, thank you. Thank you, KC. I appreciate you, Mr. Benson. Thank you, Charlene. I appreciate you, Mr. Murphy. Thank you so much. Y'all just taking the time out of your day for financial empowerment, to think about your net worth, to think about your assets minus your liabilities, the different types of assets that you have. What are the best type of assets? What are the different types of liabilities? What's the worst liabilities? What are the best liabilities? Let's talk about it. Call me 1-844-JB Bryan. And remember, the money you make is not what determines your wealth. What you do with your money, that's what makes you rich. What you do with it. What you do with it. We all got legs, but do we work them? Make sure you take a walk today. Love y'all. Ah, thank you. Thank you. God bless y'all. Talk to you soon. Listen to some Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, y'all. Listen to it. See you later. Bye-bye.